Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, so,
Is that our website?
yeah.
Did they spell check it?
Did they spell check
No.
the word plumbing?
Well, I
No.
mean, your statement's correct.
No,
Orange County's
this was the first, it's plumbing, it's not plumbing. That's all we do.
Exactly, we're just plumbers.
No, this right now so far is, this was the first draft. I'm just kind of showing you guys what they've gotten done. There's a lot of errors that I've already sent over to them.
Hope so.
Some are, well, I mean, you know, some are spelling errors, some are, you know, there's a few other things in here. So, this is too small, there's a lot of little things. I mean, I wanted that to be bigger, so you can read where it says, because we care about your plumbing, heating, and air. You can't read that on a regular screen. You can
Yeah,
barely even see it on here.
That should be like
But-
the word Orange County's best.
But there's a lot of things we're gonna do. Generators is coming out, that was a mistake. But you can see we have the fin system in here, steam saunas, you know, we have a lot of steam generator repair. A lot of, this is under the plumbing section. But as you continue to go down, there's AC install, you know, replacement services, heating services, same thing, hydronic heating's in there. And they still have steam generator down here.
mini split. needs to be.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that we're gonna add on there. Kevin's gonna look at this as well. Tina, they're gonna see what else. And this is just the first kind of draft, the rough draft that they sent us. Okay. It also has, you know, all the different areas that we work in kind of highlighted. Some testimonials that are in there. There's not a lot of pictures right now, so that's something that I really need to get from you guys, some good pictures. Now, what I want is not from your iPad that you put into Service Titan, because some of you guys are doing a good job with that, like on Gar, or whatever her name is.
Garland.
Garland, yeah. There were some good pictures on Service Titan. I can't use those because what happens, Service Titan actually shrinks them down, and they're so small that when I bring them up to size, then they're blurry. So, I mean, if I wanted to get a picture, for an example, it's something like that, of quality. If you send it from your phone, just send it to my phone directly, and then I can send it to my computer, put it in a file, send it to them, and they can put some stuff in there, okay? So there's very few, like I said, of that in there. And then, in addition, you can just kind of scroll over and see all the different, you know, sections, including financing. They don't have Green Sky in there yet. They only have Hero in here. There's still a lot to do. Contacts, cities we serve's in there. They got to work on careers. There's a lot of stuff to do. They're going to have a feature set up in here where they can schedule through the website. So that's something that's kind of cool. So customers can say, okay, for an example, on Sunday right now, we have something scheduled, because they're able to kind of with Service Titan, they can see what we have scheduled in Service Titan. So that means dispatch is going to have to even get better, because they don't want to overschedule something, make a job look like it's going longer than it is. But there's an issue with that, and so we're going to talk about that as well, because if if someone calls in and schedules, and we have something set up that's ends up taking longer than what we have a plan for, that could cause some issues. So, but that's something I think it's kind of a nice feature, so customers don't have to necessarily call. They can try to book and put what they want in there. So there's a lot of pretty cool features that are coming in on their site. Let me see what else. There was something else that was on here. Let me go to one of the.
Morning, Kevin.
For example, air. So AC install. Okay. So again, you can schedule service here. It has a couple of basic pictures in it. That the pictures are not, you know, like I said, it's not enough. I think we should do a lot more than that. That's why I need to get you guys to help me with that.
Do you need me to send you some of the Garland
If
pictures?
you have them, send them to me, the full ones from your phone.
Yeah,
then
I have them.
that would be helpful.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of work to do on here. These are kind of cool in a way. These are like posts that they go back for a couple of years. And some of this is from the Ben Franklin plumbing site, so they've got to remove some of those. But for an example, if you were to click on this, HVAC services, basics, it kind of talks you about all of this. And then you can go into posts. Right now it only has March of 2019. And then there's some different posts that people can look at just if they wanted to browse through and see, like, for an example, what are HVAC services, what are the basics, what can you expect, kind of things like that. I mean, it's actually pretty cool because we're kind of educating customers through the website. How does the maintenance service, or what does the maintenance service include? What are the common heating repairs, things to consider before heating installation, so on and so on. Frequently asked questions. So they have a lot of these different things depending on depending on what area they go into, if it's HVAC, plumbing, or whatever. Featured video. They have a featured video. But there's just, and then there's a thing where we can have a newsletter, and then there's also something down here that kind of has like customer reviews, if you want to call it that, or little comments that customers may send, and this will go from one to another, and you can actually read, the whole thing like that. So it's a little bit interactive that way. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of show you guys the basic beginning part of this anyway, of the site. And like, I know they spelled plumbing wrong. They didn't have the L here, they missed it. But on that one particular, the best plumbing and HVAC company instead of plumbing. But there's a lot of other things on there as well. Like I said, I've already sent him the first round of it, and then I'll continue to dive down into it and get more as we find out. So that's the first part of that. What I really want to talk about today is the way that our sales process works, or is supposed to work, okay? And in talking to Kevin and just seeing how things are going on some of the jobs, we've come to realize a few things. And so I want to kind of explain how the process, again, is supposed to work, and then kind of go to how it is working, or it's not really working the way we're doing it, and what we can do to potentially make it better, okay? So the sales process typically in this commissioned system is supposed to work like this. Let's say, for an example, technician, I'm going to say Ryan. We're just going to throw Ryan out there and say Ryan goes out to a job. He sets up the job, and maybe it's a maintenance or a service agreement, HPC, whatever the case is. You get out there and you find out that they need a new system, right? So Ryan sets it up so that he calls out the channel, and we're going to say the channel's Kevin. So Kevin comes out to the job. Kevin and Ryan are talking about the system, they're discussing it. Kevin's the one who's going to, as a channel, present it to the customer once the options are all up there, and you bid it out what the options that they are. So A, B, and C, typically you want to have 3 or more, it just depends. Repair, replace, this part of the unit, replace the whole unit, whatever the case is. Now, when that's done, and Kevin then goes in and sells the job, then we go and do the work. That part's easy. But when the job is being bid, what normally would happen is Ryan and Kevin would be collaborating about what options they are. So if we do option A, it's going to take you about this much time. They kind of work together and talk together and communicate, because communication is huge between the technician who's going to do the work and the channel. So as long as Ryan understands, let's say that if we sell this install, option 3, this is how we're going to run this job. This is what it's going to take to do the job. This is what we're going to put in. This is, all the ins and outs of the job. That has to be discussed with Ryan. So Ryan agrees, yeah, okay, that makes sense. If I put it here, I'm going to do this, that, I'm going to do, it's going to take me this much time, I'm going to need this much help for this many days, etc., etc. So that way when the bid calculator is put in and the price goes to the customer, you guys are on the same page, okay? So that's the way it should go, because now the job gets sold, whatever job of the 3 that it gets sold, and all of that is understood by Ryan, and Kevin understands it, they've communicated, so now that Kevin gets to go on whatever job it is, he knows what he's got to do. That's how it should go. Okay. So obviously there's going to, in the way that we've been doing things right now, it's a little bit different. Sometimes Kevin may go out to a job by himself and he may sell it. So now the technician that's going to do the job is now just assigned to the job. Now, that communication still has to happen though. okay? So Kevin may do something different than Mike may do it, or that Jesse may do it, or Ryan, whatever. And I know Kevin will usually go up and say, okay, this is how I want you to do the job. He tells you that, right? But you also have to have the expectation of how long it's going to take you, how many people it should take you to do it with, and you guys have to have that communication. That's really, really important. Doesn't matter who your channel is, doesn't matter if it's Sarah and Plumbing, it goes all ways, okay? And if we don't have that communication and it's not completely understood what the expectations are, then your pay is going to suffer because now it's going to take you longer, right? Or you're going to try to do it your own way, which may be different than Kevin's way, and then Kevin comes out and says, no, that's not how I wanted it done. I told you I wanted it this way. But communication is two ways. There's two-way communication, which has to happen for us to be successful. Two-way communication does not mean, okay, Kevin, I got it. That's not two-way communication. So Kevin tells you something, you say, okay, and now Kevin believes that you understood what he said, right? Or the other part of it is you just think you're going to do it on your own way, based on Kevin saying you have the job. That's not two-way communication. Two-way communication is if somebody sells a job a specific way, and you weren't in the original loop of that, in the first part of it, you have to make sure, before you even start, take the time. This is part of your planning of a job. Make sure you're on the same page with the person who sold it. All right, so what are your expectations? Ask the questions. Two-way communication has to mean, or it means that you're not only asking questions, you're making sure that whatever you're asking or telling is understood completely, okay? So an example of that would be, if I were to tell Mike, hey Mike, take that phone and put it on the table over there. Is that two-way communication, or is that even part of it? I'm telling him to do something. Which table am I talking about? Am I talking about his phone? Or am I talking about the other phone? Or what am I talking about? You have to make sure you understand 100%. Mike, the phone in front of you directly, can you take that phone and put it on the table right underneath the camera, directly underneath the tripod? Now you need to answer me. What did I ask you to do, Mike?
Take my phone, put it underneath the camera,
Where?
on that table right over there,
Now under the camera or under the tripod?
under the tripod.
Okay. So I'm only giving you this example because if we don't aren't 100% sure of what is wanted and expected, it's not going to happen. Almost ever. Never. Okay? So I'm hoping that'll at least help people think that way, because we can't afford to have somebody do something different than what's expected and then have to go back and redo work for any job. Plumbing, HVAC, nothing. It just can't be. Because, number one, I think that a lot of people don't realize, a lot of you may not realize, you may, I don't know, but you don't realize what the real cost of that is. Number one, redoing work is costly by itself. So we take the time to redo that work. So we just lost profit on that job. That's just a small part of it. We also have then the job, there could have been work that we would have been doing at that time. We don't have to redo that work. So we're losing that potential income. So there's a lot that happens when you're redoing work or you're taking longer on a job than should be. Plus you're making less money, we're making less money because we have extra labor going in. It's just a big snowball effect that doesn't seem to stop. And then or you can say, we're not stopping the bleeding, we're going to bleed out. Okay? We have a lot of things we want to do, and we're getting to the point where it's going to start getting busy. We cannot start rushing through jobs. We cannot start not communicating, or even communicating at the level we have been, because if you don't understand something 100%, then you're setting yourself up for failure. That's the bottom line. Okay? We all think differently. We all do things differently. If I tell each and every one of you what a specific thing, I tell you all the same thing, I want you to do one thing, and I just leave it at that and I walk out of the room, you're all going to do it differently. The way you walk, the way you move, what you're going to take first, what you're going to take second, all of that stuff is going to be different from every one of you. Right? Do you guys agree with that? We don't all do things the same. We just don't. We don't think the same way. You know, I may think that the first thing you're going to do is set this up, and you're going to say, well, I'm going to do that later. I'm going to do this first and set this up. It's just different. So when a job gets planned out by someone who's selling it and you're not involved, you have to make sure you understand exactly what the expectations are. Ask the questions, don't assume anything, because we all know what that does. All right, but right now we haven't been practicing that two-way communication at all. I just don't think we have, because I'm seeing the jobs go longer, things having to be redone, things being, it's just a mess. And we can't afford that. So, you have anything you want to add to that, Kevin?
Only that I'm going to be putting into the AC Pro website, and I realize we don't get everything from AC Pro, but I think what we need is a checklist for each specific type of job, so that I'm seeing that, we're on a job 3 or 4 days, and then on the 4th day we're still looking for parts. We're still shopping, and it seems to me like that should have been handled on the first day. So what I'm going to be it's only as good as if you look at the form, but they have templates on that website. So as an example, I could put a template together that says this is what you need for installing a evaporative coil, and I could have all the possible parts listed. You just have to go to the website, click 1, 2, or 3 as far as quantity, or 0 if you don't need that particular item. But at least it's a reminder, because you forget one thing and you just lost at
Time.
least 2 to 3 hours. The other thing is that I need to do a class. Probably the first class I'm going to do is time efficiency, and what that means. When I was in a truck, by myself with no employees, and I owned a company, I was doing everything. I literally had no employees. I had nobody answering my phone. I had nobody picking up my material. I had nobody cleaning my truck. I had nobody helping me with anything. So you can imagine that I had to be pretty damn efficient with my time. And to forget one item would have been devastating to me. So I spent at least an hour at night going over the schedule for the next day, thinking of every item that I might need for that day, getting up early in the morning, getting that item, and making sure I was prepared and ready on time. And that 1 hour was the best hour I ever spent. I think what we're doing is not doing that at all. I think we just kind of show up to the job, we run into the issue, oh, I need that. That's not planning, that's reacting. And so we need to quit reacting at the end of the day here, because we can't just charge more because you think it's going to take you longer, and that's not going to happen. We have to remain competitive, and we're already more expensive than most companies, so there's nowhere to go with that. So we have to become more efficient. Our tools, everything, organization in the truck, all of that. If you're not organized, you will not make money in this business anywhere. I don't care where you work. It's just not going to work. So that's efficiency is going to be my focus. My first training is going to be that. I intend to work on the templates this weekend, and hopefully we can avoid what's been going on. That's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, some people, and I'm not going to name names, have come to me and said, well, this job's taking me longer than this and this and that. But exactly what's happening is what I'm saying, is there's no communication. There's not enough communication. If someone says something and you just say, okay, that's not communication. It's not. Okay, I'll do it. Then you go and you look at the job and you reassess it and you try to figure out how I would do it. Oh, I don't want to use this tool because of this, so I'm going to use this tool, which may take longer, and it's just not been working. So we have to change now before we get to the point where we're so busy and it's just going to snowball into a bigger mess. Okay? Anybody have any questions or comments?
I've got a couple regarding installs. So you were talking about the salesman and the lead tech.
Yes.
That salesman should put together that job list. and should be ordering that material, because a lot of times, just speaking over my whole year of being here, oftentimes a job will get sold, and yeah, you get the tonnage and this and that and the other, but unless you're walking that job with them, whoever sold the job should be ordering the evap coil, the condenser, the package, and whoever the installer is should have that package here at this shop first thing in the morning, so he can look at his material list and he can look at what's in front of him before he loads it on the truck and verify that everything is there. That's how it went at the company that I used to be at. I didn't get to walk the job at all before I went on it. I was handed equipment and materials, a site layout, and a packet that had little check boxes on what I was doing. Ducts, cut in 3, change out condenser, relocate. It was all right there, and this was my bay, that was my material, here's the materials list, and you go through it and you check it off.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna, I mean, that's something that Kevin can talk to if he wants to, because that's more.
There's a couple issues with that. Let me ask you a question. Would you have wanted John to make your material list?
Well, and that's where the other catch-22 is.
Okay, so in a perfect world, if you have a highly skilled salesman, now, do you want the salesman to go make a crawl in the attic and count your fittings for your ductwork?
No, and ductwork and copper was a standard bill of order. We got 3 streets, 3 regulars, 3 couplers, and that was what we got.
So, I guess there could be an accommodation there, but my concern is that you're asking the wrong person to do that.
Well, yeah.
One of the things that can be done is when you go to an install, you can always do a job walk a day before or the day of. The minute we get a signed contract, you could be assigned out to the job to do a job walk. But even then, I've had people do job walks in this company, and it's still ordering parts. I mean, yeah, I've tried 1,000 different ways.
No, I understand.
Right now, I was talking to Thomas the other day, and he's doing what I wanted to do in this company, and it was a really big success. And this is a big company, and that was that each and every job had a list of materials that went out on each. Let's say you're putting in an evaporative coil, you just got all that stuff no matter what.
Well, yeah, that's
And you just got sent to that job. And you returned whatever you didn't use.
Right.
If you didn't return it, you got charged for it. That's practical up to a point. Up to a point that's practical, and that will cover the majority of those issues. But I can't fix when somebody's at a job 3 days and then they tell me, I don't have that on the 4th day in the morning when they're going to that job. I just don't understand that. I don't know how to fix that. I can't fix that. And that's gonna wind up costing. And so, I'm open to trying anything. I'm open to suggestions. Obviously there's a lot of room for growth here as far as that area is concerned. And I mean, those carts, I don't know if you know, but I bought carts and they were about $700 a piece. And I had those carts designed to where I got those lift gates for a reason, so that you could roll that cart on and off of that truck, roll it right up to the condenser, and you would never leave that cart for a part, because you had everything you needed to put that condenser in. You never had to move out, you never had to walk back and forth to the truck. Everything was there, including a drop light, because you might have been doing it at night. And that's the way I set those carts up, was that you could just roll up to the job and just do the job. And nobody ever used a cart. Can't fix that.
Well, yeah.
You know, it's just like anything else. If I make a list and, you know, punch list and nobody ever reads it, I can't fix that. You know, you have to own at some point that this is your time and it's your money, and you could be on another job. It could be $40 an hour instead of 15, if you're efficient. And I agree, there's a lot we need to do on the company side to accommodate the efficiencies. But we have to realize, we have to all recognize that we are contributing to it in a significant way, our inefficiencies in this company. And especially on the bigger projects, even in small projects. I mean, I've literally seen guys, hey, go get me a screwdriver. And you know what they come up with? A screwdriver. Instead of the whole damn tool pouch. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Which should have been brought to the job in the first place. So, I see so many wasted steps, and you think that's a small thing, but add it up. Just add it up.
5 minutes adds up over 10
yeah.
times.
You crawl into an attic or under a house and you're missing something, that's a half hour to 45 minutes. Right there. Guarantee it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. So it takes effort to plan this. And it's that effort. I mean, I could put all the things in front of you, and you could still screw it up. You know what I mean? It's just it's a mentality.
It's going to take all of us.
Yeah, it is. It's gonna be a team effort. It's the best way to describe this, is a team effort. So you know, I'm willing and able and capable of putting that together because I am a pretty organized person. But you know,
If you don't use it, it's not gonna work.
yeah.
So I'm gonna suggest this, so whoever the channel leader is, it depends on who the channel leader is for HVAC, so I understand you're part of it. I mean, what's Kevin doing, Kevin can put a part list together if he happens to be your channel, okay, that's probably not an issue. But what Kevin can also do, which would be easier on Kevin in my mind, would be this: put it on the technician who's the lead tech, and you say this: we're gonna do a walkthrough, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, or whatever time it is, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Meet me over there, we're gonna do a quick walkthrough, make sure you order everything, then you're responsible for everything at that point. This is where I want you to put it, this is what I want you to do, order all your parts, you know what you need. You take the time, that hour and a half, order your parts, get it done, then the buck's not being put back to now the channel, because then it's just gonna go back to say, well, the channel leader, whoever it is, Kevin or whomever, didn't order this, or didn't do that, or it's gonna get blamed. But if you do your own walkthrough prior to doing the job, I think that that's the best way to hold you accountable to your job, because you're the one that's getting paid based on the service volume, which is the costs. So if you don't plan it right and you don't order everything right, then it's on you.
Correct, and like Kevin had said, putting those lists together, that's perfectly fine, because that makes it point-click drag for whoever the next
Right.
channel lead is. And we're just talking base packages here, odds and ends. Like if I'm gonna need more 90s or more line set because it's a weird run, then yeah, that's definitely on the lead installer. But like the basic packages, like copper package, PVC package, like you just have your basics that just go on every straight change out, every horizontal change out, every cut in, and then whatever's not used either gets inventoried back to truck stock. Let's say I used 2 more fittings on the last job than normal, so now my stock's depleted. They get transferred, everything gets returned or divvied back. And then the job walk is a great thing also. That does help, and I know I can do better on my organization. My life's been kind of spinning 500 plates in the air, so I need to get more organized.
Yes, Beatrice.
From my understanding, implementing like a basic checklist or form that we use for the jobs, right?
Yeah, that's what Kevin's talking about. Basically, it's really a setting up everything for the.
Yeah,
For the
they're
parts
called
list.
templates on the
There's online.
on the AC Pro website, and we could do templates as well on the Ferguson, I believe, website as well, because this is primarily where we get our materials from. But the idea is you should also have probably we should have, and we have iPads, so there's no need for forms. And that was the whole goal of iPads, was to get rid of paper in this company. So there should be a digital form for tools, as an example. I have a digital form for apprentices' tools.
The plumbing list and
Huh?
everything, you sent me the plumbing list and everything you sent me when I
Yeah,
downloaded.
yeah, so I have all that stuff. I've made these lists already. They need to be updated, they're a little bit old, and I need to transfer them to, the AC Pro website, et cetera, et cetera. One of the things, as an example of organization that we could do in this company, which kind of, the shit hit the fan, when we took Sarah's truck out to a job site, which shouldn't have happened. But basically what happened is we did a repipe partially out of her truck. So now we're trying to scratch our heads wondering, well, what parts came out of her truck? The answer to that, problem is this: we have a repipe tray or two, and each repipe tray has exactly the same stuff in it, and it's counted in the warehouse and it's signed out, and you check it in, then it's inventoried, and then you get charged for what's missing. It's a very simple solution, because trying to order the parts, sitting on a repipe and thinking, how many 90s am I going to need? Come on, that's ridiculous. Nobody, you should go out the door with a set amount of pipe, a set amount of fittings, and maybe a punch list for tools that you may or may not use. So you make sure you have them with you, and then you just go, and all that should be, able to be dispatched right out the door. It should take 5 minutes to load up a truck. If we get to the efficiency level that, on me, it's not right now in the warehouse. And because we got into a situation where we were keeping that inventory on a truck, but we were losing track of that inventory. It was too hard to manage. So what we're going toward is that, hey, when we order a water heater, you're getting all the stuff. And then you can return whatever you didn't use, and we'll sign that back to you, get the credit, and then we'll process your whatever. So that's kind of what it's going to look like. But your cooperation, again, is going to be necessary, and we'll, like I said, I'm an organizational kind of guy. I love organizing. It's kind of a thing for me. So it'll happen. We'll get it done. We'll work together, and we'll get out of this mess. Because once we get busy, just like Alan said, we're going to fall flat on our faces if we don't get a foundation here.
And just to reiterate what he was talking about with Sarah's truck, I don't want that happening with anybody's truck. So, and I've made it clear to Bryce already, and it seems like I thought I made it clear last time. I even had him repeat it to me. But I don't want you to take, if Sarah leaves her truck here because she's sick, or whoever's truck it is, we don't just use their truck. Well, because there's already parts in it. What I explained to Bryce, what I want to happen, so I'm explaining to all of you so you know as well. I want to make sure that if you need something off of another truck, we go out there with an inventory sheet, we remove it from the truck, gets basically, and either myself or Bryce, someone needs to be there with you to see what we're taking off. So that way if Sarah or whoever says, hey, someone took these fittings off my truck, yeah, we did, we know where they're going, we'll replace them, okay? Especially if those fittings may have been off of another job. That's kind of a hard thing right now. What was already on the truck and what's come off of another job, what belongs to you. That's going to be kind of a tricky thing right now until we can do something different. But I need to make sure that that's how it happens. We take the stuff we need off the truck, we leave the person's truck alone, take our own trucks. We're not going to be, I'll just switch trucks because they have more inventory in their truck. It doesn't work that way. Okay? That's how we're going to do it going forward. Any questions on that?
No, that works out perfect.
All right, if anybody else has anything else, that's it. Good. All right, let's get going.
Kevin, that's pretty much